Hi all, happy Saturday, and we're here again for week 9 in our 52 weeks of art journaling. I'm so excited because this week we're going to be working with texture and pattern, and I have some really neat things I think planned for us when we're down on the table. I'll tell you guys about that, but let's talk about texture and pattern. So this week we'll spend time going deeper into texture and pattern as an element of art. I believe that texture is what drew our group together, because most of you found me here on YouTube, where I'm kind of known for my old wall textures and my Gelli printing. So clearly, you know, we have a common dialogue of texture, of color, of sort of undefined patterns, right? Just of a rich sort of cultural expression to our work. So I've always been attracted to texture, which I believe is my primary element of art. It is the texture that I go for first in any work of art. Like, that's like my beginning point. Like, some people's beginning point may be the image that they're going to draw, or maybe the technique they're going to use or something. But for me, I'm always thinking texture. Like, you know, what kind of ultimate texture do I want it to look? Do I want it to look like an old wall? Do I want it to look like sort of a piece of found ephemera? You know, what does that look like if I found it in the flea market of Paris, or if I found it in the flea market of Amsterdam, or, you know, a flea market in the Midwest of the United States? Because there's all kind of dirt, which that dirt has all kind of color when it ages. So I'm thinking about stuff like that, the idea of the texture and the color of things. So it's, you know, I go for it first. And as an archaeomythologist, I've always been attracted to textural materials, the things of archaeological digs. As I travel, I'm always taking pictures of walls with texture, natural pigments, and unusual patterns. I love treasure hunts. I owe this to my mom, who was an avid antiquer, and from the time that I was very young, she took me along with her on her expeditions. The very first love, as I remember, were old books. Many of those books I still have. I love the patinas, and thinking back to then. I mean, I have some beautiful old books with gilding on the sides of them, with the deckled edges and stuff. And they were like 5 cents, you know, 3 cents, stuff like that. Ugh, those were the days. So I love the patinas, the color and smells of old books and papers, the sheen and the texture of the old textiles and old walls. And so much of this love is why I create. My constant desire to try to recreate as much in a much shorter time period. So I'm always wanting to recreate this age, you know, like in a shorter time period, but I really still want it to be authentic. I don't really just want, oh, you throw a little brown on here, you throw a little bit of this on here, and it's that, you know, like it's faux age, but it looks like it's faux age. I want faux age. It doesn't look like it's aged. So, so that's just my constant desire to try to recreate that. And these things normally take years and years to influence in their in the climate that they're in. You know, like old books on the shelves. It takes years and years for it to get that old patina look. But we want to kind of create that authenticity in a shorter period of time. This drives me, and I never tire of the process. I'm always looking to discover fresh techniques to make new materials look aged and to tell a story. Image dialogues, I think of them, that will capture the imagination of the viewer. This week, we'll spend time with texture and color to pay close attention to what fascinates you, the ways in which it adds to your story in an original way. Think about the patterns you select. Even when you look to purchase something as simple as a stencil, ask yourself, does it really resonate with me? You know, consider every aspect of your storytelling and mark making. It is your visual dialogue. So no matter what you're getting, and you may look at a stencil, sometimes I look at a stencil and I really don't resonate to the whole part of it, but it could be just a little section that I really like. Okay, cool, get it and just use that section. Don't feel like you have to use the other part of it. You know what I'm saying? So like, really look at things and make a decision about what you like and if it works for you. So my travels are a significant part of my journey as a visual artist. and in the iconic words of the awesomely inspiring Diana Vreeland, the eye has to travel. And this is so true for me. And actually there's a video by that name, The Eye Has to Travel, or The Eye Must Travel. And it's on, it used to be free on YouTube, but now it's like $3.99. But it's worth every penny of it. I highly recommend for you to look at it. You won't be disappointed if you've never seen it before. Just get yourself your little favorite brew, curl up on the sofa, and click it in. You will love it. It's such a good video. And it really does have everything to do about how your eye will curate your environment and the things that you bring into your environment and how you're in relationship to it. So it's by Diana Vreeland, D-I-A-N-A Vreeland, V-R-E-E-L-A-N-D. She was the editor for Vogue magazine for many, 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 many years. Yeah, The Eye Must Travel. Okay, so that's the exercise for this week. We're going to be working on with texture and pattern. So when we come back to the table, I'm going to be using the Distressed Texture Paste by Tim Holtz. Love, 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 love this stuff because you can actually color it. A lot of times when you're using different texture paste and modeling paste and stuff, you can't use, it won't take color. You know, it just stays white and it's sort of, it doesn't take color at all. Like the color will pool around it, but you'll still see the white. So I'm going to be using Seth Apter's Eye Zinc. These are dye sprays. I really, really like them because they actually are a dye and they will color really, really nicely. So we're going to be using these, but if you have alcohol inks or other type of, what were those? The glitter kind of inks, you know, the shimmer mists. I still have some of those. Anything that you have that's already like in a spray bottle, you know, you'll have fun using this texture paste. You may already have some texture paste or modeling paste or gesso or something like that you want to use. It probably really won't take the color really well, but you'll still get the texture. And then you can come back and paint over it with whatever color you want to use. So don't feel like, you know how I am, don't feel like you have to go out and buy stuff because you probably already have stuff to do this texture process we're going to do. But I'm always using new things and enjoying them, and I really love these dyes. So I'll be using a lot of the colors so you guys can see them. But if nothing else, this gold, any of the metallics, the gold, this one is a bronze, there is a pearlescent, any of these, you can put in any paint and it'll make them like a metallic. These are so, so good. They're really highly pigmented. So I do highly recommend them. And they're not expensive. So I'll have the links for everything below the video, but I just wanted to explain that because I don't really think I talked much about the products I was using except for just to sort of say what they were. And another little disclaimer before we get started, it's allergy season for me. And most of you who hung out with me for a few years now know allergy season, I get a little sniffy. I did take my allergy tablets, but I noticed when I was editing it, I was sniffing a little bit. So I apologize in advance, and if it's a little annoying, just turn the volume down. It shouldn't be too, it wasn't like too much, but I noticed that a lot of times when my allergy kicks up and I talk a lot, I can start getting really scratchy throat too, and thank God I didn't start coughing. So that I spared you of. But anyhow, I just want to let you guys know that. So anyhow, let's get going. We'll get down to the table, texture and pattern. I'll be using stencils. Pull your stencils out, and let's have at it. All right, take care, and I will see you soon. Okay, so we are back and ready to work on our textures and patterns. And I thought a really wonderful way to do that is to get some stencils. I pulled some different stencils out, and we're going to use texture paste. I'm going to use a matte texture paste. I have the crackle here as well with Tim Holtz, but let's just stick with the matte right now, I think, working with the through the stencils. And then of course we get our pattern with the different stencils. This is one of Seth's stencils. This is L185. I'll put the links below. This is this is another fave stencil girl. I don't know who this one is by, but it's on their site and it's under branches and patterns. I'll try to find it. This one is a Tim Holtz. I just love that diamond pattern. This is a Seth Apter as well, and this is M197. Good old Punchella that I sell. I need to restock my shop, but I do have more of it. This is another Seth Apter, and this one is S762, which I'll put down. And then, of course, my on iStencils is the 6x6 scripting one. And this is another Seth. I think this is M190. I love those sort of, you know, coffee rings. And then I pulled one of the numbers one. So let's just see. Now, what I decided to work on is we're going to work on, I'm going to use some of this Seth's spray dies. I love these spray dies. I use them on so much stuff. Like I'm working on some of the images for my upcoming hearth codes, you know, where we're making the scrolls, and all of this is the spray, different colors of the spray ink that make the pattern. I mean, it's so nice and clean. It's so fine that it just goes right through the mesh. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use, I'll show you for those of you, and of course, if you don't have the Seth Eyes inks, if you have any spray inks or dyes or anything like that, that's going to work just beautifully. And then any ink pads you have, I'm going to work with these two because I hardly ever work with the Fossilized Amber and the Worn Lipstick. And I'll show you how to mix these, the texture paint for that, because this you can mix it and get color out of it versus it just staying white. We're going to use some palette knives, and we are going to use some jelly prints that we did earlier in the year. When did we do these? We did these together. These are all the Arteza metallics. So they're all like the bright colors, pretty colors and stuff. And I figure for all those of you who follow and hang out with me who like brights, this is going to be your show, because I specifically made sure that I was going to work with bright colors so I can make everybody happy. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm actually going to just kind of stencil onto the onto these papers, and you can stencil white, and I'll show you what that looks like, because I have a piece of I have some stuff down here that has like black ink on it, and it's coffee stain, you know. So I thought I'd pull this out because we'll just go right and use the white right on this. And then, but most of it we're going to actually color and work with, so you guys can see how that works. And also I have a pan down here of water, so that as you go along, you want to just kind of throw your stencils into the water bath, and then that way you don't have to worry about them, you know, getting all built up. Okay, so we're going to use, like I said, the Distress Texture Paste. And we're just going to, you just really want to push it right down into your stencils. So I'm just going to really push it in there. And you just want to make sure that, I'm sure you guys have done this sort of stuff before, but for those of you who may be a little bit new to this, just clean your stencil off once you've gotten it in there, so that you don't have it sticking up. So when you lift your stencil up, you don't want any peaks, you know, of that looks good. Yay, I like that. That's ready to just go right onto one of my journal pages. So we'll move that. Let's do one of these before I put it in a bath of, let me make a black one. That way I'll get my, oops, excuse me, it's allergy time for me, so hopefully I won't be sniffing too much. This one is licorice. This is the eye zinc, Seth's products. All these can be found on his website, and I'll link the products. So see how this colors so nicely, and this licorice is like a really nice kind of purpley black. It's interesting. It really does look more like licorice than it does black. I'm gonna put a little bit more in it to make it a little darker. So I really like working with these because they're like a dye, and so they really stain. And because the texture paste is designed to really take color, it really does color. These dyes really do a fantastic job of coloring this paper, and then covering the paste, I mean. And then what happens is that when you go to let's take this, because this has wood on it, so it has this sort of blue watercolor that I get in the south of France, and coffee. So it's kind of cool is that I'm gonna do the whole thing because I'll probably use this piece in sections. So let's just go ahead and get a whole bit of color. Oh, this is yummy. Look at that. Oh, how good is this? Because right now what we're doing is we're making papers that we can use in our collages. So these we can use in any of your collages that you're working on, anything you're working on in your studio. But also it'll be perfect for our journal. So, you know, some of my sessions I just will make papers. When I'm in my studio, sometimes I just have a session where I'm doing nothing but just making papers for collage. So that when I am ready to go back and start working, I have a lot to select. And same is true for working in our journals. Oh, that's the best. So I'm going to put this down in water now so that it can... oh, that really looks good with the wood. Look at the blue. Oh my God, I love it. Ooh. Be ready to work that one into a collage. So we'll put that to the side. Oh, this is fun. So I'm going to use up the rest of this before we go to another color, because I'll just... Let's put this one on. Let's use this one. And I think I'll take... That's my my new puppy. She's out there. I think she was... my daughter was kind of working with her. And I think she might have stopped. And I think she's like, come back. I'm not done being trained. Because she has so much energy. So let's just go ahead and fill this one up. This is the Seth After. And I really like this really random pattern that he has on this. There's some words on here. And then there's this pattern that is just like so cool right here. So I'm just going to get some of this on here. And this piece right here, we're just going to build up. We're going to build up different types of stencils in different places. But I really wanted to use this up. I'll get that right there. Well, this is cool. Okay. kind of spreading it all around so I use it all, but so I have this sort of random pattern. Okay, lift this up. Oh, look at that. Love it. Just a little bit of that language down at the bottom. How cool is that? Oh, on our Gelli print. Beautiful. So I'm gonna put this aside so it can dry, and we're going to let's grab this one. So let's work with, clean this off. So I'll show you what you can do if you have a water here, so I'll show you what you do if you have a stamp pad. So let's use this worn lipstick. So you just kind of get this stamp pad down. You guys have probably seen this before. I'm gonna get a good amount because this is going to be probably a little on the light side. It's okay because we want to get all different types of. You just put it right in there. Oh, this did a good job of activating the color. So you like just putting your stamp pad right down on a work surface like this. This is one of the Arteza paint palettes, but you know, anything like this. And see how it just makes, look at that color. Oh my goodness. Perfect, just from the stamp pad. So let me get, I don't know what I want to pick. I'm going to put this in there because I don't want it to put there, so that can do that. Okay, let's use this sort of webby one here. The main thing is just to really, you know, smooth it so that you're not left with any peaks or anything. So that when you're done and you lift the stencil up, you've got a nice, nice flat, you know, image going. So, okay. So we get a little bit of that pattern. Oh, love it. See, we're just getting this bit of sort of abstract pattern going. Let's get this down. And let's try to make a dark purple. Let's see if we can use Seth's where's my, well, I'll just use my little water thing here. I just really want to keep this cleaned off nicely. So we're just making some fun papers using our Gelli prints, and you'll see how far the spray goes. I like the distress, you know, I love my distress oxides. But for some reason, when I'm working with this, I do like these spray dyes because they are a dye. So you're getting, for just a little bit of a spritz, you're getting a lot of color. So you get a darker, the color comes up darker, I think, than the distress pads. But if you have them, by all means use them. Because I know we're always looking for ways to use up our current supplies. If you're curious about the eyes inks, at least just get one. They're not that much. I think they're $4 something or something like that. They're not expensive, and they go a long way because you get a lot in the bottle. So I'm gonna just try to make this a little darker, And while I'm at it, I'm going to put some of the gold in there. I love this gold. I want a little bit of metallic to it. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of lay this over a little bit because I want to kind of be able to connect some of these areas. And it doesn't have to be continuous, like I can put a bit there, then come over and grab some of the diamond pattern here. Okay. Over this is really nice. It's pink and kind of come down a little further. This pink and this purple over this jelly print is good. Over the Arteza metallic. Then what I'm going to do, because texture is all about highs and lows, while I have that down there nicely, let's just go ahead and get some of this pattern. Okay. Wow. I'm going to let that settle, but oh my God, that's good. See? So that's going to like just dry because we're just making our textures. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this other piece that I have here. It's just coffee stain. And let's just see how much of this we can pull up. Might as well. By this being a dye, it should just really go right into this paper nicely. We don't ever want to waste anything. I like that pattern like that. Oh yeah, look at that. That's good. So we have some extra texture because of the paste. So we have some of that, and then the dye. That's nice. Okay, that gives us another piece to work with. So this, and see, I could have put a piece down and got that bottom part too. So I'm going to put this in the water. And let's keep going. Okay, let's get another piece. Let's go with this. I had like, oh, this, let's try this spring green. That should be nice against this kind of purpley background. Let me get some water on that. And I love working with this stuff. I've been working with on another project, working with the inks on the hearth codes. Those of you who've signed up for that workshop that's coming up, the 4-week one, getting ready for that with the scrolls and everything, and I am so excited. I can't wait for it to start. It starts this Sunday, and I've left registration open through Saturday because I only really want to do this one once this year because I have other workshops that are going to kind of feed off of this one. So, you know, I wanted to get everybody into the Zoom room versus what happens in the past where they fill up and then I have a lot of people who are saying, oh, I didn't get it. And I feel bad, and then you kind of have to figure out how to do another one or whatever. So this time I decided to be smart and do it differently. And I think it's really worked out better. So if you were thinking about it, you know, you will not be, what do you call it? You won't regret it. If you decide to do it, you will not regret it. We've got so much, done so much with it between the research on symbols and really just helping you guys to connect across the board, not only with symbols, but how does that work back into your own language. Trying to help those who are just looking to really nail their own style, their own voice, their own language. That's what it's about. And then we'll be, I'm going to just kind of have this kind of drip from the top. This is another stencil, and this one is S762. So these will all be down below, but I just wanted you guys to know what they are so that, so if it's any of them that are interesting to you, you'll like, you know, remember or kind of come back to the video, or you know how you do it. You guys know how you figure out how to make your notes. So yeah, so we it's quite a bit. So we'll be working on scrolls as a way to kind of capture the symbols and the language of our work, but the whole point is to flesh out, because I know many of you are attracted to my work, and it's because I feel like we you know, we have a similar how do you say it, visual vocabulary. You know, it's like if you speak the same language. But just because you speak the same language don't mean that you actually form your sentences the exact same way, right? Or that you think about your thoughts the exact same way. Well, that's true with art. So I'm not interested in teaching people how to do something just like me, you know, like I'm more interested in helping those who have a similar dialogue to mine, and that happens because you're attracted to my work, but you really want to have your own voice, you know, your own aesthetic. And so that's what Hearth Codes is all about. And a number of the workshops I'm doing this year is really going to be about helping people flesh out their own voice, you know. Oh, look at that. That looks so good. I like this little stencil because it's like it's dripping. Things are dripping. Oh, I love it. I want to put that down and kind of do... I have more here. Do I want to do some more of that, or do I want to... Maybe what I'll do is... Maybe I'll use this one. This is Seth's as well. M197. I like a lot of Seth's stuff because he's talking about a visual dialogue. He and I have a similar dialogue, though our styles are different. So, you know, you look at his stuff and look at my stuff, it's different, but a lot of our dialogue is the same, which is why, you know, we've been attracted to each other's work. And he does a lot with circles, and you know, I do too. So I bought this stencil from him, I don't know, years ago. Oh, love it. Put that in there. And I'm gonna put something else here. Maybe I'll use this. Kind of connect it. I'm gonna kind of get it. Kind of get this webbing right here. Get it off of there. Okay, so able to make some nice papers here. I really like this Tim's texture paste. I think is really excellent. Yep, that's nice. A little bit of webbing there. And so what we're going to do is let that dry, and I can come back and put this in there. I can come back and add some more stuff to that. So let's grab another one. We'll take this pink one. And let's try this yellow. Are you guys impressed with how I'm using bright colors? Oh boy. I'm enjoying it though. I do like color. I know I don't use it a lot. But when I use it, when I make papers like this, I know that I'm going to use them in some really yummy ways, you know, to really press and push my more monotone or monochromatic and earth tone kind of colors. So, let's do this yellow. So let's get some more down. Kind of, oh, you know, I'll tell you what stencil. I've got a bigger stencil here that I think I'm going to pull out. So I think it'll be nice on here. Let's see what kind of overall pattern we can create. Let me just grab it right here. I keep it hanging on the wall because it's so big. So let's put it down. It's like this Grecian key, and I love this pattern. But I figure what we can do is we can get a few different okay. Just kind of want to get this sort of like that. That should be good. Okay, so let's get, I'm going to start off with the sunflower, which is a really yellow, but I think it'll be nice in on this pink. Then I think I will kind of spray into it with maybe a gold. And I think what I'm going to do is, because you see I'm thinking as I go. Okay. I'm going to mix up probably a couple of different colors here. So let's get this yellow. It's really a pretty yellow. It's like, to me it's almost like a Tuscany yellow or something. Isn't this paste cool though? It's like so cool how you can actually just color it and then just get right into working with it. Now you can work on it without, put this over some. You can use it without, let me see how do I want to do this? I'm just going to kind of, without coloring it, you know, just white, and then you can go back in and, use your different distressed pigments and then like using a kind of move around so that I get a bit everywhere. Using, I'm sorry guys, I know you're probably like, I'm starting a sentence and not finishing it. Sorry about that. You can just use like your sponges and use the distressed pigments, and then you can just color the white that way. So you don't have to necessarily color the pigment before you put it down. But I like working with it like that. I just think it's so good that you can do this, because there's so many that you cannot color the paste before using it. It doesn't, it's not very, you know, it's not designed to take pigment, so it resists it. So you see, I'm just filling this up with some color. And what's going to happen is that we're going to come back and sort of fill in some more of these areas until the whole thing is filled in, but it'll end up, you know, being multiple colors in there. So I'm going to get some more, and I'm going to use, there's something, I have a honey that's darker. It's like a darker kind of ambery color. So let's try that and see what kind of resist we get. I mean, not resist, but what kind of mixing we'll get, and get some nice contrast with the yellow and the pink. And then this color could be interesting. See, it's like a really interesting, and the consistency of this paste is like frosting. That's what it reminds me of. I really like it a lot. So let's get a little bit of gold and spray it down in here, just to get a little bit more metallic to it. Get some of this off the top. I like this color palette. This is going to be neat. Just enough of a contrast. Put this in here. It's nice to have this water there, so because you don't want, you know, your stencils to get all gooped up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down and just start filling up some of the places that, you know, that we didn't put stuff. And then some of the places I'm going to let the pink come through just the same, just so that we can try to make this stenciling just as interesting as possible. This is going to be really pretty in the journal. Oh my goodness. If it even makes it to the journal before, I may end up using this in a collage, since it's this nice jelly print. This just might end up in a piece of art, because I'm loving it. Okay. Got it all. Okay, now it's time for the big reveal. Okay, let's see what we end up with. Okay. Oh yes, look at that. Put this down there, get it in some water. Nothing like having this water here, I can tell you that. Look at that. And that yellow, and then the, oh, that's pretty. When this dries, that's going to be yummy. So the yellow with that honey. So see how it mixes in? That's just going to be really phenomenal to work on. I could work this back into an actual collage. I'm kind of sizing it up. You see what I'm doing there? And then, let's see. Let's do, put that there to dry. Let's do the punch yellow. Let's just do the coffee stain bit. And let me see. Do I have another sheet? Let me just look over here real quickly. See if I can find, oh, that, look how nicely that dried. I like that. Let me see if I have, in my jelly prints over here, if I have one that is just I try to pull out all the bright colors, but maybe I have one that, let me just look, that this in a brown would look nice. Let's just see. This is a nice one I can build up on. Choose that. Because this could definitely use more things. So let's take this and put it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a coffee. There's a coffee stains in this line. Where is it? Coffee. So, I mean, this texture paste is going quite a ways considering I've done a number of sheets. I don't know how much this is, to be honest, because Tim sent me a box of stuff to try, and I did have a wish list. He did give me a wish list. So some of the stuff I asked for, and some of it was other things. He said, hey, just try it. And I'm loving the paste. He has a distressed collage medium that's this kind of, you know, antiqued aged. So when you put this over what you're working on, it gives it that antiqued kind of look versus being matte or clear, you know. And then also I have the crackle. I like that too. So let's get a little bit more of the coffee down. And we can just use our good old Ponchella. I'm going to use that coffee. In fact, I'm going to use that one first. Let's put this little coffee ring thing down. Maybe like that. There goes my phone. I thought I had it turned off. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just mute it. There. That was easy enough. Okay. Love that. Like a splatter. And then let's put this down. Kind of like to work at the edges. Let me put this in here. Hold up. Okay. I'm going to work this at the edges here so that, like, I'll have a full pattern to do something with. Because a lot of this stuff I'm going to rip up and, you know, work back into collages. It's a nice way to work with jelly prints, too. When, you know, they're not, you know you're going to do something else to your jelly print. And maybe you just want to use it as collage elements and work it into a bigger piece. She's out there having a conversation with whoever just walked into the room. My daughter was out there working with her, like, 'cause she's a shepherd. So, you know, shepherds are work dogs. They just don't like to not be doing nothing for too long a period of time. And so she was out there doing some training stuff with her. And then she doesn't like to stop. Yeah, so she's barking at you, come back, let's keep on working. See, that just worked out really nicely with that pattern. So when it dries, I'm going to put a little bit of licorice in here just to change the color a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to get, but I mean, you know, can't be but so bad. It's kind of like a it's like a, what color is this? The easiest way to describe it is a brown black, but it's actually really interesting. Let's put some gold in it. Give it a little bit of... Okay, my battery decided to give out, but I had another one waiting in the wings, so we're good. So I put the little bit of metallic in this one. And this is kind of like an interesting, almost like an aubergine, like an eggplant color. So I'm going to let this dry. And I'm going to take this last, and take this piece right here and do this last stencil, which are these numbers. And let's see. Let's put them down like this and see what we come up with. These numbers have a dripping kind of quality to them, and I like all the little dots that are in between on this stencil. So okay, and we'll put some up here, because I can see using this piece in sections, right? So let's just go ahead and get some images down. That's really, I like that color. It's like really like an eggplant kind of brown. And you know, I never want to be done. I'm trying to see what else. If I have another stencil handy, just I basically have used all of this up. Let me just go ahead and use the rest of this over here. Look at this. Wipe that off. Lift this up. I had a little bit of over painting here, so just wipe it off. Okay. So might as well finish this up. That way I have a whole piece with things on it that I can use. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so I'll put that in water. This will go in water. And let's look at what we've done. Oh, got quite a bit. So these are not going to be dry yet, but you get the idea. So this is paper that I just stained with some wood, which is the blue water, kind of a watercolor. It's almost like an indigo, and coffee on this lined paper and some black paint. I think for this one I used the Waverly chalk matte finish. You guys know how much I like that. And so that has a nice piece on it. Let's go back and look at this piece. So this was our very first one. It's dried and it's just got that nice raised texture. We're ready to use that. And this one in the purple, still a little wet. And wow, look how this this pink dried. You see how the pink actually started, oh, you know why it's done that? Because when I sprayed it, I think it must have gotten some of the gold on top. Because it's almost like as it's drying, that pink from the distressed palette is fading. Maybe it's distressing, which is interesting. It's not as pink. But you can see the difference because when these dyes dry, they dye strong. I mean, they dry strong. Like this one dried and got even deeper. So that's the difference between, I think, the distressed and the actual, when you use an actual dye. Because these are dye sprays. They're not like alcohol sprays. So they really are going to color nicely. Okay, we have this one. Just still drying, but looks wonderful. So we have different sections. So the whole idea with this is you're not doing like a finished piece of art. You're just taking jelly prints that you may pull on your plate to have as collage papers, or you're not quite sure, well, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this. Well, if you do this back on top of it, now you just have sections that you can definitely use to collage, and we can use those back in our journals. This one I love. This one's going to dry down nicely. I just love the two-tone coloring in there against that pink. And then this one's over here drying. So that just gives us sections of things to work with. You know, even pull like a bit of this, and you know, because we're going to use things in bits and pieces. And what's left? Okay, I'm gonna put this there because I don't want it to mess up until it's dry. And then we have, well, that was one that we just did an off printing on. This is the very first one. So you can see how that white dried. Just the paste itself dries nicely, and then you can come back with a texture sponge or something like that and add color to this if you wanted to. But I'm gonna keep it like this. I like it just as it is, because this will be great. Where's my journal? I know it's here somewhere. Oh, here we are. So you can see. So this would be fun, just, you know, just to put on, you know, put it right there in the journal. And, you know, it's like a place to begin. I can do other collaging on top of it. Love it. And then this one came out nicely too. I really like that licorice color against these more kind of grungy browns and blues, indigos. So all of this used in bits and pieces. Alrighty, so I think that's everything. Quite a session. So we've gotten, and this one's over here going to be drying, but this is a similar thing. You know, you can use bits and pieces of this back on there. So I've got some really nice, vibrant colors to work with. Oh, I love this one. Boy, that's going to be fun. These are all going to be fun to work with. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. So we're working with textures and patterns, and that's exactly what we were doing today. We were working with different patterns, textures, colors, and this is easy to get. You can pick this up at Michael's or Joann's, any place like that. I'll put the links for all of this below. So if you just want to even, you know, click the links just to see further what it is, I'll put the links for Eyes Inks and some of Seth's, and some of Tim's Distress, if you guys are not familiar with these, but I know many of you already have this stuff and don't even need to worry about anything but just jumping in your studio and getting started. I'll also link the stencils. So if there were any stencils that I was using that you weren't familiar with, and you're like, oh, I'd like to try that, you'll have those. And that's everything. So until next week, enjoy the week. This is just one way to think about texture and pattern. You can actually put textiles on here. So you could actually use burlap, muslin. We could have taken this same texture paste and just put muslin down in it and pulled it up and made that sort of material texture. We can also, you know, you can just go through magazines and pull out lots of different colorful images that catch your eye and then cut those up into, you know, like almost kind of going back to shapes, right? So you can think in terms of small pieces that you might make a mosaic with. That'd be a pattern. And so you can kind of mix and match, or you could even actually take these jelly prints that we've done, and once they're dried down, you can take and cut them into shapes in order to do mosaics with them, but then you'll have this raised pattern as well. So lots of ways to think about texture and color. I was kind of working with some of this stuff, and I thought, well, I would share it with you all because sometimes we don't think about all of you probably already have some modeling paste and some spray inks, alcohol inks, all this stuff that we have, or ink pads. And you're not thinking, oh, I could really easily take and make some texture on my pages that I'm going to be using in my journal. And of course, you can do this right on your journal pages as well. We could have done all this right on the journal page. The reason why I didn't today is for obvious reasons. It wouldn't have, would have gotten 2 spreads done because it wouldn't have dried as fast. So if you want to kind of do some mass producing, then working outside of your journal to get a lot of stuff together and then be able to go back in and start the collaging or adding into your journal, it's just a good way to go. So that's everything. Have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this video, please thumbs it up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll get the notifications, and share this out with other people who may have an interest in art journaling or have been trying to get going and just, you know, failed attempts, which we all have been there. I put my hand up on it. Let them know about what we're doing over here, and they can just jump in and get going. So that's everything. Take care. Love you all. And until next week, happy creating. Bye-bye.